through the chart. It's a defense mechanism. It's a self-protection mechanism. And what it is that the victim, in order to prevent further abuse from happening to her, begins to perceive the world through the eyes of the abuser. She walks on eggshells at all times, careful not to incite the abuser to further abuse. Now here's how it happens. Here's the diagram that I've made. Supporters try to help the victim by encouraging her to leave the relationship. This angers the abuser, and he lashes out at her supporters, and then he abuses her more. Then the next step, now the victim becomes angry with her supporters and adopts the abuser's attitude that it's their meddling that is the cause of her abuse. The victim then cuts herself off from her supporters, completing her isolation and opportunity for further victimization. And then the final stage is that the supporters are often incredulous at the victim's behavior. They can't understand at all why she remains in the abusive relationship, and out of frustration they start to withdraw their support, which just further isolates her, which is what you don't want to happen, because the further isolated somebody is, the harder it's going to be to ever get them free. Same exact thing happens in the cults. They encourage people to break off contact with their worldly friends and family because it's dangerous to your relationship with God. Same thing an abuser does with a battered woman. You need to cut off your family and your friends because it's endangering our relationship. Same type of thing. And then the response of the supporter is usually the same. What happens is you get so frustrated that, a common response, but one that needs not to be expressed at all, is to say, what on earth are you still doing there? Why don't you just leave? Why don't you get out? And just out of frustration, at that point, that the supporter is just, at wit's end at that point, can't understand on any level why this person would want to stay in this abusive relationship. But this is why. And if people understood that this is why, they could find a better way than to just say, why don't you just leave? It's not always possible, and the reason it's not always possible is because of the abuse tactics that we discussed on the wheel. And, financial dependence and, emotional dependence and the intimidation and the fear and the using family members as leverage, all that kind of thing. All that kind of thing plays a role.
So you're saying it's better for a person not to just, get frustrated with them and not understand why you can't leave. Because to us on the outside it seems so obvious, but they're caught up in this kind of Stockholm Syndrome cycle, and to say that to them would actually be detrimental. It would actually increase the cycle and keep them in it.
Absolutely, because now they're going to say, gee, the organization says that I should expect persecution, so this is just proof that what they say is right, and this is just proof that my supporters are controlled by the demons and by Satan, so they can't be wishing me any well. I need to cling ever more tightly to the Ark of Salvation, which is the Watchtower. Same thing happens with somebody who's been in an abusive relationship. Gee, the abuser is right. These people really don't have my best interest at heart. All they want to do is, get me out for their own reasons and their own agenda, and it's really only causing further damage, and I just need to cut them out. Now that they're isolated, you don't have any contact at all. How can you help them? So the best thing to do is actually to sit a little back on the sidelines, and it's hard because you want to just snatch them right out of the flames, and what's really, really hard is when you see children being abused in the name of an abusive relationship or in the name of a cult, and especially when you're dealing with satanic ritual abuses that some cults, including the Jehovah's Witnesses, have in a lot of congregations, these little subgroups that perform these satanic ritual abuses, and you want to snatch these people out of the fire. The best thing to do in any situation is to go to the authorities. In most cases, they are going to be told themselves, the victim, that you cannot go to the authorities, okay, because it's considered being disloyal. And so you, as an outside observer, go to the authorities for that person, number one. Number two, do not put your foot in your mouth to the extent where they feel that they need to cut you off completely, because once you're cut you off completely, you don't know what's going on behind those closed doors anymore. You can't report it. You can't encourage the victim to, boost their self-esteem, to let them know that they have support on the outside that can help them if they decide to take that leap. You need to have those lines of communication open in some form or fashion so that you can continue to be a support system, continue to let this person know that you are there for them if they need to take drastic measures, that you will be there to help.